Hi everyone and welcome to TNT. Today coming to you on the road to Kanchanaburi. Now we're doing the road trip from Bangkok to Phuket and stopping off at some pretty cool places along the way. But the road trip videos will be separate from the news videos every day. So posting 2 videos every day for the next week. But there is still plenty of news to discuss, so let's get started. Hi everyone, and here we are in Kanchanaburi. I'm actually on the veranda of my room. It's a place called the Felix Hotel. As you can see, a bit of sort of old style colonial. I think with that brickwork probably from the 80s. Right on the River Kwai here in Kanchanaburi. And it's actually a very, very pretty place. Kanchanaburi, one of those locations that could really catch on as a bit of an international tourist destination if some enterprising tourism people sort of get behind it. There's just a river rafting, there's all these little cafes and restaurants along the river, and quite a pretty little town. So it's been quite a lot of fun, but we're heading off from here today to parts unknown. We'll tell you more about that later, but there is still plenty happening in the news. Now, during this week, as I mentioned, we're actually going to be uploading a separate video every day about the road trip. So around about 4 o'clock this afternoon, you'll get the first part of that road trip. And tomorrow, a special program for Anzac Day, a very important day, especially for Australians and New Zealanders. And you'll see that program tomorrow. Let's get started with today's news, though, and we go to the Bangkok Post. And yes, we're going to be talking a lot about air pollution and heat. Chiang Mai suffers a rebound from haze problem. The Bangkok Post saying the tourism numbers were down during Songkran. Concerned parties have urged the government to come up with long-term measures to deal with the problem, including pushing for the passage of a clean air bill. The PM 2.5 pollution choking the upper northern provinces, including Chiang Mai, has stoked hopes among residents that the government which takes shape after the May 14 election will tackle the problem. And satellite images show that from January until this month, Myanmar had the most hotspots among Thailand's neighbours, followed by Laos and then Thailand and Cambodia. And from March until recently, the PM 2.5 levels in the worsening AQI, that's the Air Quality Index, in the northern province ranked top among the world's worst air pollution. And on some days, the PM 2.5 levels exceeding 800 to 900 micrograms. That obviously is exceeding the safe level set by the WHO of 50. And according to the Chiang Mai Public Health Office, between 30 and 40,000 patients suffer from disease caused by air pollution from January to April each year, and that number is increasing because the problem continues to worsen for longer periods. And just some quotes from the president of the Chiang Mai Breath Council. He said an agro-industry company has encouraged farmers to grow maize for livestock feeding for export, with increasing amounts of farmland converted to maize growing and forest encroached for the purpose. And the problem is compounded by transboundary haze from neighbouring countries where the slash and burn practices also occur as a result of the same company encouraging farmers in those countries to grow maize as animal feed. And an advisor to the Thai Hotels Association Upper Northern Chapter says the severe haze is also affecting the local economy, especially the hotel business. And she added that room reservations were cancelled mostly by Thai tourists due to the PM 2.5 problem, as they opted to travel to seaside destinations, and some visitors to Chiang Mai just stayed only for a few days. And the Star is reporting that it's so hazy, every breath is a struggle as air pollution harms health in Thailand. And about 2.5 million people in Thailand have needed treatment for medical problems linked to air pollution since the start of the year, including nearly 200,000 this week alone, according to health officials. And a respiratory disease specialist at the Central Chest Institute of Thailand in Nonthaburi says she's seen a drastic increase in patients since February, and the patients usually have respiratory problems like coughing and sore throats. Well, let me just say that it's not only been stinking hot, and we'll get to that in just a moment, but everywhere we've gone over the past 3 or 4 days, including from Bangkok, there's just been this horrible haze that you can't see more than about a kilometre ahead. And here up in Kanchanaburi, we thought, we'll get these beautiful mountains and wide sweeping open spaces and farmlands. We just haven't been able to point the camera anywhere showing long distance shots because it's just this whiteout from this PM 2.5 air pollution. It's quite sad, really. And the story goes on to say that the World Health Organization representative Jos van der Leer said air pollution was not solely a health issue but also dented economic productivity. According to IQ Air in 2022, the average PM 2.5 concentration in Thailand was 3.6 times the WHO's annual air quality guideline limits. And Joss said in the long term there are more risks for respiratory infections. If people have asthma, that can get worse and people can develop chronic lung diseases, even lung cancer. And one of the issues is that this PM 2.5 concentration, this bad air pollution time of the year, also correlates with the hottest time of the year. And the last few days, oh my goodness, it's been so hot. Let's get to this. And Reuters are reporting that Thai authorities issue extreme heat warnings for dozens of provinces. And Thai authorities on Saturday warned residents across large swathes of country, including the capital Bangkok, to avoid going outdoors due to the extreme heat. In the Bang Na district of Bangkok, the temperature reached 42 degrees Celsius, while the heat index, which includes relative humidity and measures what the temperature feels like, hit 54. Well, I've experienced over 40 degrees before. I mean, I've been in Australia. Parts of that get very, very hot indeed. But usually in places like Melbourne down south, that heat is not accompanied by the high humidity. Here we have the high heat and the high humidity, which makes it really unbearable. And Thailand's Department of Disaster Prevention and Mitigation said the temperatures will exceed 40 degrees in at least 28 provinces on Saturday. So enough of the heat. Let's see if there's any respite. And Nation Thailand reporting that summer storms to batter 59 provinces in Thailand until Wednesday. And the TMD warning that 59 provinces in the north, northeast, central and east will be hit by summer storms from Sunday to Wednesday. Well, there's only 77 provinces in Thailand altogether. The TMD says these weather conditions will hit the northeast and east before arriving in the north and central regions. This is today, and you've got the areas in the north, northeast and east which are predicted by the TMD to be hit by those summer storms. So going from the sublime to the ridiculous, from the extreme heat to the winds and the rain and all those things that come with those completely unpredictable summer storms. But it's not just Thailand. Nation Thailand reporting that Philippine schools can call off classes due to heat. As several parts of the country try to cope with the summer heat, the Department of Education in the Philippines said on Saturday that school authorities could call off in-person classes to safeguard the health of the students and staff. So these extreme heat conditions and the heat wave hitting a lot of Southeast Asian countries and hitting them quite hard at the moment. And of course, along with the high heat comes turning on the air conditioning. And that leads to, well, this Nation Thailand reporting Prayut orders urgent response to outcry over rising power bills. And the Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha, that's the caretaker, Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha, has ordered the Ministry of Energy to urgently respond to widespread public complaints about the unusually high electricity bills. And the government saying it's waiting for a special meeting with the Energy Regulatory Commission before approving a 7 satang reduction in electricity tariffs for the May to August period. And the Commission is expected to launch a public hearing, and we've got an election on May the 14th. They're all out banging on doors and handing out pamphlets at the moment. Nothing's going to happen before the election. And of course, the weather will change over the next month. Things will start to cool down a bit, and some of this problem of the high electricity bills, I'm pretty sure, will go away as people stop using their air conditioners as much as they have over the last month, including myself. I'm very glad to say that the Mercedes we've bought that we're travelling around in during this road trip has got very good air conditioning. And I'd just like to briefly thank our sponsors, 5 Star Marine. They've got a whole fleet of these great little boats if you want a private premium tour off the island of Phuket to any of the 32 islands. I can highly recommend 5 Star Marine. There's a link, if you'd be interested in finding out more, in the description of this video. TNT on a Monday. Hope you had a great weekend. Let's go on to some other news now, and this from Thai PBS. International hunt for 2 Chinese men after kidnap of a tourist in Bangkok. The Royal Thai Police seeking help from Interpol to find 2 Chinese men who allegedly kidnapped a female Chinese tourist and forced her to pay them 500,000 baht. And the suspects have already left Thailand. We said the other day we're just sort of losing count of all these Chinese kidnap cases. And one of the men befriended the victim and on April the 17th persuaded her into his room and detained her. And police saying the 2 men tied the victim to a chair, assaulted her and forced her to transfer 500,000 baht into their bank account. And the following day, one of the men took a taxi to Suvarnabhumi airport and flew to Phnom Penh using a fake passport. And the other suspect rode a motorcycle to a rented house in the Sutasan area, and he may have already left Thailand as well. And the Deputy Commissioner noting that in the past few months there's been several kidnappings in Thailand involving Chinese, both the perpetrators and victims. He admitted that Thai police are currently unable to check the criminal records of the Chinese suspects because Interpol red notices have not been issued yet. So this is clearly an emerging phenomena of Chinese kidnapping Chinese in Thailand and demanding ransoms, and the police also noting this from the Bangkok Post. Cops plan crackdown on Chinese crooks, and the Metropolitan Police Bureau will endorse a crackdown on Chinese underhand dealings in Bangkok as the number of abduction and ransom cases is increasing. And the police say the number of criminal activities correlates with the number of Chinese tourists arriving in Thailand after the government eased COVID-19 travel restrictions. That's the Chinese government back on February the 6th, allowing their citizens to travel internationally once again. And most targeted victims are usually Chinese nationals whose families are considered wealthy by Chinese standards, or people who hold a large amount of cash in their bank accounts, as well as high worth of cryptocurrency. And the National Police Chief has ordered the Immigration Bureau to work with Chinese officials to assess a criminal database as part of the process for granting visas on arrival to Chinese nationals. And a policeman said they must endorse a crackdown on Chinese criminals before the offenders escalate into mafia gang activity. Well, I think we can probably expect more of these stories emerging, and of course we'll pass them on here on TNT. And tomorrow, apart from our news, our daily news, we'll also have a special report coming out around about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, which will be at the Hellfire Pass for the commemoration of Anzac Day 2023. I hope you enjoy that report. And something a little bit lighter now, this from the patianews.com. Hundreds of tourists join One Lai Songkran tipsy tubing event in Pai. Pai, as we've mentioned before, about 3 hours northwest of Chiang Mai. Bit of a bohemian, slightly hippie feel to the place and becoming increasingly popular. And there they are, enjoying themselves, all tubing down that particular river in Pai. And also glad to report a bit of blue sky there in the distance. And more than 500 foreign tourists joined a 2-day One Lai Songkran tipsy tubing event in Pai, held by the TAT. And the event was at the Pai Bridge. They enjoyed many activities such as concerts, dancing, water splashing, water tunnels, local sports and local food. And the highlight of the event is the famous tipsy tubing along the Pai River, and according to organisers, this will likely become an annual event during Songkran. So plenty of young people looking like they're having a great time there. Lots of really good Songkran events this year, and I think everybody has had a great Songkran for 2023. It's certainly been hot enough that you don't complain much when you get a bucket of iced water poured over you. Now, one place that has had a bit of a travel problem, people getting there, has been Hua Hin. If you're not prepared to get in a car in Bangkok and drive about 3 hours south, it's one of those places that it's a little bit difficult to get to. Well, maybe that's going to change. This from Hua Hin today. Hua Hin today, I think I meant to say. More international flights expected at the Hua Hin airport later this year. Passengers wishing to fly internationally from the Hua Hin airport might not have to wait much longer. And attendees at a meeting on Friday heard how international flights are expected to be operating to and from the Hua Hin airport in the near future. And several MOUs with airlines already agreed, and Nokair, an MOU for Singapore and Phuket flights. Well, I'd certainly be inclined to fly up from Phuket to Hua Hin every now and then for a weekend. It's certainly one of those places that's got big enough to attract international tourists and also entice domestic tourists there for a weekend now and then. That's it for today. Thank you for joining us on our Monday TNT. The first of our road trip videos will be out this afternoon. The road trip videos coming out about 4 o'clock each day this week as we make our way very slowly down to Phuket on the road less travelled. Thanks for watching.